Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. We are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday. We have a thought piece that'll to drop in the next few weeks, so definitely be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you're looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we've provided you with access to a few links down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time you post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today's topic of discussion is mental wellness. And on the topic of mental wellness, we're going to be talking about prevention over cure, and not in the ways that you would think. I want to talk about how we show up in the world and what motivates the ways that we choose to show up in the world, and how we can show up in a way that's in alignment with our own sense of wellness. Now, I can say that I have been on a massive growth journey by way of all of the different ways that I've shown up in the world around me. Very many people, I'm sure, have very different depictions of me, dependent on when they met me, what stage and phase that I was in, and how I felt inclined to express myself. Because one thing that can be the common thread in all phases and stages of my life is I am a highly expressive human being. And so I think that what has shifted as it relates to why and how and when I feel inclined to express myself is it's moved from being motivated by fear to being motivated by confidence. And I think that what happens when you lean into the experiences that life gives you, rather than work and operate from a fear-based place, you learn to operate from a place of confidence in your ability to rise to the occasion. And so growing up, I was very nice, and wanted to have that reciprocated back to me. I only had good intentions when it came to interacting with those around me, and I would be deeply hurt when those good intentions were not reciprocated, when they were not mirrored. And I was always told, you need to toughen up, and that's just not something you become. You don't toughen up just because you're told to, right? Life and experiences and exposure and repeated occurrences, that creates calluses on you. But I think that it's really important that when you have these pivotal moments, these moments that shift and change your sense of self, shift and change the way that you want to or feel inclined to show up in the world around you, that you don't lose parts of yourself that you really enjoy. And some parts of you you're going to lose regardless, but there are some parts where you have the choice. I've always wanted to show up with the best of intentions. I went through a phase where I was so hurt and so harmed by my environment that much of how I showed up was fear-based, right? So I wanted to make sure that I created an environment and I created a dynamic with the people around me where they saw immediately that maybe certain behavior, certain actions just weren't a good idea. I wanted to really put on this bravado, put on this facade of being very tough, and this was a lot in my adolescent years. I wanted people to see me as tough so that they didn't feel inclined to poke at me. And I think that this comes with being seen more than what I cared to be. So I was seen a lot more than what I wanted to be, and that attention attracted negative attention. And I wasn't used to it because I was fairly sheltered growing up, which then translated into bullying, because when people test their limits with you and you don't know what your limits are, you don't know what your boundaries are, some people will really cross the line. And so I had experienced a lot of people really breaching my boundaries, breaching my sense of personal safety, breaching my sense of personal, just sense of comfort overall. And I was developing the language very quickly out of necessity as to how to establish boundaries. But what I learned is that for a lot of people, what they understood was hostility, right? And so there was a stage in my life, in my adolescent stage, where I was still very fearful from the experiences that I had experienced, like just before I hit that stage of being bullied, because I had been bullied. And so there's a lot of fear-based hostility that I built around me so that people just wouldn't test me. And so that worked for a little while, but unfortunately what it also did, while I was able to stave off the people that I didn't want around me, and I didn't want their attention, and I didn't want to have those interactions, I stayed off the kind of people that I wanted to have around me. I wanted to attract, the good vibration, good energy people, but I was operating from a place of hostility because I was operating from a place of fear. So unfortunately, me feeling inclined to show up that way as a means of defending myself, I outgrew that when I recognized that it was also translating and me not attracting the kind of relationships that I wanted. And so what happened was I moved from that spectrum of wanting to be nice to then being hostile to then finding my way towards being kind. And what is being kind? It is a choice, and being kind is a choice that comes with a sense of confidence that I believe stems from experience, that you have what it takes to show up for yourself if you need to. You don't have to preemptively set the tone and create an environment where people are fearful. You let people, as they say, mess around and find out, right? And you're comfortable with that because you've recognized that you can get through all that life could possibly throw at you because you've been through enough to know what it is that you're made of. And so I think that when you have a certain level of confidence of what exactly you are made of, you don't feel inclined to protect people from themselves if they feel inclined to harm you. They'll figure it out on their own if they've decided to target you based on their experiences and how that's going to translate moving forward. And I think that a lot of people who are kind fly under the radar because people aren't used to kind people. People are used to nice people who have yet to find the language, find a mental model for what boundaries are appropriate and what people should be allowed to do and what people shouldn't, how they establish a certain level of respect and a dynamic that's comfortable for everyone. And because a lot of nice people don't have those tools yet, they're nice to their own detriment. When you meet someone who's kind, who has the tools, who has the language, and who has the confidence to rise to the occasion and defend themselves in their own way without creating an environment of hostility, without feeling inclined to dominate or to subjugate people underneath them or to establish themselves as an alpha. When you meet someone who's operating from that place of self-awareness, of self-confidence, and of intentionality, then it's very easy to mislabel them as a nice human. And so I have found that for my wellness, I don't need to set the tone and to protect people from coming up against me. And in fact, the people who really do want to come up against you, I think that they're going to do it whether you are aware of them wanting to do it or not. But if you give them too much information, if they see what you're made of up front, then they might prepare themselves accordingly. And I prefer to be underestimated. I recognize that there are so many things about me that gives people so many false assumptions. I think there's so many things about me, like me being a female, me being, a person of color, me speaking a certain way, me being petite. There's so many different qualities that people pull and draw the wrong conclusions from. And I think that has always worked to my benefit because I like being underestimated. I like flying under the radar because it allows me to set myself up for success, because I can promise you I don't underestimate anybody. I want to give people the opportunity to show me who they are, and then I manage my behavior accordingly. But I think that being kind is a place of confidence. It's recognizing that you have the tools to deal with the people who feel inclined to push against your boundaries, and you can show up the ways that you want to, in the ways that allow allow you to attract the kinds of people that you want to have in your life. And it's always from a place of choice. It's not from a place of necessity. And it's a place of choice that comes with a sense of confidence that you can get through what it is that you push through. And so I find that having that model, having that in place, built on the experiences and some of the hard knocks that life has thrown at me, but that have shown me what it is that I'm capable of, has given me the confidence to walk into any setting and know that I can take care of myself there. And I think that those who operate from a place of fear just don't know what they're made of. And I think that it's important to give yourself an opportunity to figure that out. The point really of this message is operate from a place of kindness when you recognize that you don't need to show people what you're made of out of the gate. People can figure that out if they feel inclined to cross a boundary or to test a limit, and it doesn't have to translate in a stereotypical movie magic way. How people figure out who you are and what they can and cannot get away with can be very specific to the people that you're interacting with. But in all cases, they're gonna walk away with a hard-earned lesson. There are some people that you just don't mess around, because if you do, you find out. In any case, that was the topic for today. That was it, but definitely not all. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page, so definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above those events. So check it out, be part of our game changer community, being part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. We are on the road to 1K, so we do invite you to follow us across all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.